Islam, 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 and welcome to the Moorish Light Continues, the podcast. The revolution is a podcast. Let's begin with a prayer. Prayer is the best God I can think of. Islam, Islam, Islam. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet Drew Ali. Amen. And of course, first I give praises to the Almighty God Allah, honor to all the true and divine prophets, beginning with the prophet of this hour, of this era, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and in first, second, and third form, as I understand it. I give honor to our forefathers. I like to give a special honor to my teacher, Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle Eel, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III, as well as to Timothy Dingle Eel, hyphen Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Modern day Moses and Aaron, which is, of course, a lesson you have to learn. Honors to my home temple at 1055 North Milton Avenue. Grand Sheik is Tiffany Jones Bay, who also carries the title of the National Grand Sheikess, and our rural staff at 1055 North Milton Avenue. Honors to Supreme Grand Sheik and Sheikess Pratha Eel, and welcome to the revolution of divine and national instructions. As the Moorish Light continues, the revolution, of course, is a podcast. And the one thing I did not do in my latness, but what I'll do is incorporate it in my lesson, and it'll be the first part of my lesson. So, our topic today is the scientific method for Moorish science. What question did the prophet ask? So we're gonna go into that in detail, and some of the questions is why in 1928, while people still clinging to the names and principles that allude to slavery, or it could simply be, can a man be Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? This is our question. So in order to make it even a little more clear for you, let me redo this. I did that wrong. I want to share my screen. And in sharing the screen, we're looking at what is called the scientific method that any student would use in order to do a science project. So first we have the question and the problem. And our question is, can a man be Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? Then we're going to do our research, very basic research. Then our hypothesis, what we found out about the topic, and the experiment. I'm not sure about the experiment, but the analysis we will do and the conclusion. So, and we will cover these as we move along. So one of the things I was remiss in was getting the sword to open up, and I'm going to do that right now. So just bear with Sister Seabreeze Bay as she goes through her learning process. So you're a student with me. Let me see. Hopefully I didn't go too far. Let me see where we are. trying to get to Surah 80. We're going to look at verses 41 through 43. And so, as you can see, we work in real time here. So you're walking with me as I walk down this road to take you on. The Revolution is a podcast. We're almost there. There we go. We're at 80. And we're going to go down. There we go. Let's make that nice and large for you so you know that I'm reading. And it says, and other faces will be dust stained. The dust on the faces of sinners will be contrast to the beaming light on the faces of the righteous, and the blackness in contrast to the laughing, rejoicing faces of the righteous. But the dust also suggests that being rejectors of a law, their faces and eyes and faculties were choked in dust. The blackness suggests that being doers of iniquity, they had no part or lot in purity of light. Another contrast may possibly be diluted. The humble and lowly be in the dust in this life, and the arrogant and sinners in the sunshine. But the roles will reverse at judgment. And then 41 says, blackness will cover them. 40 ayat 42 says, such will be the rejectors of a law, the doers of iniquity. So if we were to talk about this from a Islamic perspective, there would not be such a thing as a black Muslim, unless you have not thoroughly read the Holy Quran itself. Sister Series Bay did not write the Holy Quran of Mecca. She's just reading from the Holy Quran of Mecca. And this is the only place you can find this information. It's in various other sources. So when we talk about, so the prophet asked the question, can a man be Negro, black, and colored? So if we're going by the Holy Quran of Mecca, no. He can be, but then he's not in the grace of the Almighty God, Allah. So that's my opening surah, as well as speaking about blackness from uh, an Islamic perspective. So the question the prophet asked is, can a man be Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? And the answer is no. So we're going to go through an examination, and we're going to define these terms. One of the other things we must be very cognizant of is the consequences of yeah, here we go. The consequences of clinging to these names. And a lot of times, so we're doing our investigation now. We're doing it through more science, and we could do it through some other genres. We could do it through some other genres, but let's okay. So we have the divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their free national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin, man. It's a sin. It is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. So here we begin to see we have to look at it from another perspective. So we're looking at it from a constitutional perspective for a moment because think about this. If you were labeled Negro, Black, Colored on the plantation and you had your so called slave master's name to identify you as property, how can you take those same things that identified you as property, as less than human, and use them in freedom? A change should take place. Common sense speaking, a change should take place. So if I was Johnson in slavery, being held as a slave, I should not be Johnson when you tell me I'm free because I'm still carrying that label, that property name of Johnson. Just like you put your name on your car, they put their name on their property. And because we have not gone through the solution, we still carry the labels and the names until something happens. So I'm going to come back to myself. Alrighty, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. So it's very important. It's very important that we understand and that we take the time to examine this thing called slavery. Because I think a lot of times all we think of are shackles and chains and being on the plantation and picking cotton. Well, plantations exist in different forms. Along with that physical plantation, you had a mental plantation mindset. So, next, going to our next question. Our next question is why in 1928, and notice I didn't say 1913, why in 1928 were our people still clinging to the names and principles that delude to slavery? So, the question would be did a real change happen? Or did exclusion make us redefine what slavery was? So, what do I mean by exclusion? You can't go to my restaurant. You can't go to my theater. You can't go to my school. That's exclusion. So, the only thing that you can use to fight exclusion would be you want to integrate. But there's another way, there's a better way, is to establish your own. Because if you deal with exclusion and you deal with integrating, are you getting your own, or have you become a economical asset for promoting other people's things who don't want you? Just a question. Um, so let's examine, and I like to do this because I think it's very essential. So I'm gonna have to share again, and I'm not gonna do the picture in a picture. We're gonna go to the screen, and we're gonna look some terms up. Um, well, I think one of the other things we can do is Charles Carroll. This is from a book entitled The Negro, a Beast. Now, understand this. The Negro is two things. One is a river, and the other is a label to dehumanize you. Because when they called you Negro, they did not see you as equal, neither did they see you as human. So how is something that dirty going to all of a sudden get washed up and cleaned up? How? It should be removed. You can't make it clean. You can't make it equal. You can't make it relevant. That's why we keep changing who we are every so many years. We done gone from Negro to colored to black to African because none of them give us the mental and spiritual sustenance to exist within the human family. So let's read. Oh, I forgot to bring you to class. I'm sorry. I brought my little bell out today. Now the bell I'm ringing is actually the Liberty Bell. So it goes on to say, it is needless to say we hold this fearless man and admire his candor, his high esteem, and his lofty patriotism. At the same time, we must beg leave to respectfully suggest that his use of the term re-enslave in connection with our future relations with the Negro indicates that he fails to grasp the situation. I asked a question today, what is the Negro problem? And somebody posted on my page a picture of how they wanted to change the curriculum to make them feel included, but none of them said identity, none of them said nationality, none of them said principles, none of them said anything about the people themselves. And I think this, they said it was written by W.E. Du Bois. And when you learn the history of W.E. Du Bois, you're going to learn that although they push him off as a friend, he was more of an enemy to us than a friend. And I know because your colleges teach you something different. I know, yeah, right. But anyway, as a matter of fact, the Negro was never a slave. To conceive the design of enslaving an individual, we must presuppose that he is free. The first act of enslavement is to deprive him of his liberty. This the Negro never had since the creation of man. The Negro is an ape. And so here we're dealing with what you all, some of you like to call evolution. Hence, his status in the universe, his relation to man, like that of every other animal, was fixed irrevocably by God in the creation. And no act upon man's part, whether legislative, executive, or judicial, can change. That means there's no laws that's going to make Negro, colored, black equitable. The president can't do it, and the judicial system can't do it. And I'll just read a little more. So I want you uncomfortable. You know, sometimes you got to get a little uncomfortable before you get comfortable. It says the will of God upon this most important subject, as expressed in those original statutes given man in the creation, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth, is the supreme law of the universe. And in the eyes of this great law, there is not today, there never was, and there can never be on this earth such a thing as a free Negro. Hmm. So let's see if we can back this up. And I think I have to stop sharing this page. But go ahead and think about what I just read. And I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Go back. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to help that make sense to you. Because you know, she said she done lost her ever loving mind. No, I haven't. I'm going to make it make sense to you. Hold on a second. And I'm going to share something else with you. Give me a second. Give me a to share the screen. And this is called, oh, I hope it doesn't take me on a tour. So in Moorish science, we learn what is the Negro? The Negro is a river in West Africa that contains black water. And guess what? Here it is right here. Let me see if I can get you a better shot. No. All right. Let's see. No, he's on there. I guess he's fishing or something. But you can see the black water right here. Look at it. And notice in the caption, in the caption, it says how these two rivers don't mix. They flow right beside each other and they do not mix. So when the prophet said the Negro is a river, that's exactly what he means. And so that means we are not fish. Okay, hopefully you can see that. See if I can make it large. There we go. Because I want you to see it. I don't want you to say we made it up. I want you to see it. Can you see it? I hope you can. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. So now we've dealt with the Negro. We've dealt with it on a legal basis. We dealt with, and I mean, remember also that Negro in Spanish means black. So now let's move on down our scientific method road. And I know I'm doing this a little differently, of course, but it has to be done. So we've talked about the names that delude to slavery. And remember, the names are Negro, Black, Colored, African as well. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. But if slavery was over, let's see, what is the term of slavery? If you are more science, one of the things you should know is Act 6. And Act 6 says that slavery lasted from 1779 to 1865. So, if that's the case, why in 2025 are we still trying to profess being black? Why is that? We need to, these are some logical questions we can ask ourselves. I was at an event on Saturday, and I give honor to Charlie Duggar for he for his consistency in the Marcus Garvey Day. Um, and of course, I get to speak every year, which is a blessing. And I think right now, so I asked the simple question: give me a fact that supports black. Give me a fact, not a feeling, not a belief, but a fact that supports black as an identity. Not what we've been conditioned to think, because we're conditioned to do certain things. But what is a fact that supports us being black? Other than saying the European says he's white. Well, then that's a lot of people that's classified as white. It's not just a European thing. It's only a European thing here in these United States. So let's talk about Act 6 for a minute. Act 6 says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. So that means there's some other nationalities coming in. And We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. That they must know that they are part and parcel of the said government and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and last until 1865 during the time of slavery. So if slavery was over in 1865, I said it's lasted until 1865. Shouldn't we have been doing some different things in 1866? Well, according to the laws that were passed, we should have been doing some different things. We should have been gaining our actual freedom. 1913, when the prophet came on the scene, we were still talking Negro black, Negro, that Negro language. Marcus Garvey, when he set up the UNIA, he also was talking the Negro language, but he took it to another level of understanding. He made the Negro understand that you could have economy, that you could be a nation, that you could be self-sufficient, and that you need to attach yourself with your history. Then Prophet Noble Drew Ali comes on the scene and says, "This is your nationality. This is your race. This is the shade of your skin, and this is your history." See the connection. But rather than honor and move forward, we got stuck, which you do when you're not learning. We got stuck, and so we continued with the Negro. Then we set up organizations to make the Negro acceptable. And finally, what the Negro thought was acceptable, or the so called Negro thought was acceptable, his last plight to equity was integration. And whatever he had, he lost. He lost his own schools because he wouldn't demand improvement. He lost the best means of educating his own children because he decided to integrate and go to a curriculum that did not include his children, barely included now in 2025. He went to the table of integration empty handed. So if you come to my table of bargain and you don't bring nothing to the table, you're going to take what I give. So with that exclusion that I talked about earlier, getting so to speak in bed with the European made us think that we had arrived. You put us collectively together and we could not be self-sufficient as a people. You put us collectively together and we don't even know where our land is between the Rockies and Allegheny Mountains, just in case you want to know. So let's go on. So the prophet came in 1913. We were still calling ourselves Negro, Black, and Colored. Marcus Garvey was doing what Marcus Garvey was doing, pushing the economics and teaching us how we should collectively, universally, all be working together. The prophet came on the scene and said, "You have to honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. You've got to learn to love instead of hate. That every man needs to worship under his own vine and fig tree." So now he's telling you, you need to honor your ancestors because there is no big blanket to cover everybody. Because every nation has their ancestors. Every nation has their birthrights. Every nation has their culture, their identity. And they do not base their success on how well they can be with the European, by the European. He has no part. in them loving and recognizing who they are. Well, there is a plan to make everybody think they're generic and their full parents don't count. And we really need to think about that. So back to our, so we've asked the question. So far we've talked about it constitutionally, historically, morally. Let's see. What's the moral side of this? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything else. Hatred. Who do we hate most? Ourselves. How do you know? Because you're always trying to be like somebody else. Slander. Slander is we call ourselves names that delude to slavery. Lewdness. Just plantation sexual conduct. I call it, now this is me talking. Nobody else said this but me. I'm going to claim it all for my own because I don't want nobody coming down. You done heard that sister. She said she's from the moon. Bucking and winching. Producing without an idea of why. And they added another component to it, which is abortion. Everything is so sexual these days. Murder. Who are we killing the most of? Ourselves. In everything that harms. There is so we create so much negative publicity about ourselves. We do it. We have media controlling the minds of our children. And then we have those who play the role for the media to make our children believe that's how it is. So we see we did the Negro and Beast. The Dred Scott decision is just a reinforcement of the Negro Beast, except that it happened in 1820 when Dred Scott, and we done tried to dress this story up, and I don't know how many kinds of ways. We done made Dred Scott intelligent and all this, but the decision still remained the same, that a Negro had no rights that a white man was bound to respect. So that Negro, that whole little thing is just not, it's just a low vibration. That black is just a low vibration. So we got to keep on going with our hypothesis. So let's now, we're going to do the dictionary. And we're going to do the definition of black. I'm learning how to work this, you all. Y'all know I'm so proud of myself. I'm learning how to work stuff. I'm growing. That means I'm learning. I'm gonna have to get me a new computer in a minute. So we got a black one. Relating, let me make sure I make this big enough so you can see. Relating or belonging to any various human population characterized by dark skin pigmentation, specifically the dark skinned peoples of Africa, Oceania, and Australia, relating to and noting that the descendants of these populations without regard for the lightness or darkness of skin tone. And that's one. Let's go on down here. Often offensive, used as a noun in reference to a person, black is often considered offensive. It was when I was growing up. I don't know what y'all doing now, but when I was growing up, when somebody called you black anything, it was time to fight. And then they have a member of any various dark-skinned people, especially those of Africa, Oceania, and Australia. And then it says African American. So what's the advancement? Maybe somebody know that. Maybe somebody can tell me something. We're doing scientific research now. Not sure what this one is. Hugo Lafayette, U.S. political official, Justice of the Supreme Court, Sir James White, English pharmacologist, won a Nobel Prize. Joseph, somebody, Scottish physician. Okay, these are people. And Shirley Temple. I used to watch Shirley Temple as a child on a good ship lollipop. Hmm. I remember that on the good ship lollipop. And she had a brother who taught her how to tap dance. Now, here are the definitions of black from a dictionary, not from Seabreeze back. Being a color that lacks hue and brightness and absorbs light without reflecting any rays composing it. An ebony, sable, inky, sooty, dusky, dark, an anonym is white. So you saw that dusky in the Holy Quran. Characterized by the absence of light, enveloped in darkness, soiled or stained with dirt. Hmm, dingy, dirty, anonym, clean. Gloomy, pessimistic, dismal, a black outlook. Look at the synonyms: funerals, mournful, doleful, somber, depressing, sad. Antonyms: cheerful and hopeful. Number five, deliberately harmful, inexcusable, a black lie. Six, boding ill, sullen or hostile, threatening. Black looks, black words. Synonyms: calamitous, disastrous, of coffee or tea without milk or cream. Eight, without any moral quality or goodness, evil, wicked. The synonyms: villainous, treacherous, nefarious, horrible, atrocious, monstrous, infernal, devilish, fiendish, inhuman, and sinful. Nine, indicating censure, disgrace, or liability to punishment, a black mark on one's record. 10, marked by disaster or misfortune. 11, wearing black or dark clothing or armor. 12, based on the grotesque, morbid, or unpleasant aspects of life. 13, of a checkmark flag done or written in black to indicate as on a list which is undesirable, substandard, potentially dangerous. This is what you're telling our children, and you're proud of it. Illegal or underground. 15, showing a profit, not showing any losses. Deliberately false or intentionally misleading. British, boycotted as certain goods or products by trade unions. 18, in the form in which it comes from steel, in the form in which it comes from the rolling mill, forged or unfinished. The color at one extreme end of the scale of grays, opposite to white, absorbing all light incident upon it. Black clothing, sign, chest, black pigment, slang, black beauty, to blacken, to make black, polish shoes. I'm trying to find something good, y'all. Just bear with me. I'm trying. You walking with me now. You see me. Black out to lose consciousness, to erase, obliterate, or suppress. And you ask what happened to Moorish. Ask what happened to it. It got what? Obliterated, erased, obliterated, or suppressed. It didn't erase it, but it kind of hid it. C, to forget everything relating to a particular event or person. We don't even realize how we came into slavery. In the theater, to extinguish the lights. Did I hit an advertisement? So maybe that's enough black because I'm starting to get heavy chested. Um, Now, the other side of this is that we look at amendment. I'm sorry, I gotta come off of this page. So I'm going back. And I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. So then we got to look at the term Africa. Oh, and Ethiopia. I'm sorry. How much time we go? I think we're going to go to Ethiopia. Let's say original name. Let's see. Let's see what we come up with. Ethiopia, as it is known today, was historically referred to as Abyssinia by Europeans and Arabs. And let's see, we'll read it. However, the name Ethiopia was used by people and rulers of the region was not a name change, but rather an adoption of a name already in use by the Ethiopian people. The name Ethiopia, wait a minute. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. Let's look at this. The name Ethiopia is derived from the Greek word Athiops, meaning burnt face. Now wait a minute. They said that it came according to the people, but then they give you a Greek definition. What's wrong with this picture? So, in order to make a long story short, I'm going to go into chapter 47, and I'm just going to read to you what we know Ethiopia to be. And we're going to kind of have to close on it. Well, we got a little bit of time. We don't have to close yet. And I'm going to get it to the point where you can call in and talk to me and ask questions. I'm going to get there. Give me a minute. I'm working on it. I'm kind of slow with it, but maybe it's just my time. What can you say? It says, the inhabitants of Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family were the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexium, the first true and divine name of Africa, dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. So let's see. Let me see if I can help you out. When was demarcation changed to Greenwich? So it says the Greenwich Meridian was established as the prime meridian of the world in 1884. So where was it prior to 1884? It says a conference held in Washington, D.C., delegates from 25 nations representing 22 of them voted to adopt Greenwich Meridian as the zero longitude reference point. So, where was it before 1884? See, I'm just going to have me a little fun before I close out. And I hope, wait a minute, let me, oh, I can go back because it's right here, right here. Because I need to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Share screen. So here's your information. 1884. Well, what was it before 1884? And so I'm just gonna have me a little fun. Let's see what it says. No, the prime meridian, the zero longitude, has never been physically located in Egypt. See this? This is what I'm talking about with these people. This is why me and AI get into these arguments. I argue with AI. I'm gonna tell you, cause see, look who they said. Ptolemy did develop mapping systems that use longitude and latitude. Their prime meridian was located in Alexandria. The modern prime meridian, established in 1844, is located. Wait a minute, where's Alexandria? Let's do this. Y'all want to? This is how I research. You know, I'm I love researching. You see it for yourself. You can't even say Sister Seabreeze Bay did it because they said it to you, flipped it up, flipped it over, and then went back to the truth. But you got to know something to know that that's what they did. You got to know something. I'm just saying, you know. Y'all think I'm a little cuckoo, but I was doing research when there was no Google or whatever you call it, AI, and because see, some of y'all have more faith in AI than you do in yourselves. So let me stop sharing for a second. Wait a minute, I gotta go up here. I'm really learning how to work this. I'm so proud of myself. So stop, because I don't know if you saw. What is this? What is that? I wasn't sure if you saw what I read, but anyway, I read verses 4 through 3, and I actually know where the prime meridian is, but I'm not going to tell you that now because that's a lesson in itself. Cause you tell some, keep some. So um, oops, I did. I'm remiss, y'all. I do have to do one other thing. So I need to stop sharing. Oh, I need to share. I don't think I shared it. Did I? Yeah, I did share that. So the other thing that I need to share, and I forgot again. Forgot what it was. I lost my train of thought there. Oh, I got it back. It came back. And let's put some icing on the cake. Now, black a Moor. Guess what that is? A black African or very dark skinned person. So, let me see if they have any other definitions for it before I conclude. Blackamoor art is a controversial. No, one means. Is everybody trying to go to art? Let's go a little more. Now look, now how do you create a Negro? How you make a black African? Let me help you out. You take black plus more and then you call it black a Moor, and then you get a Negro or an African, and if you take the black off, what you got left? Yeah, a Moor. Isn't that something? Mm. Just a little bit of science. Just a little bit. So let me ring the bell. I want, in case anybody sleep. Just make sure you're not asleep. Okay? So, in closing, and we are getting close to that hour, did we answer? Let's go back to our scientific method. Let me see if we did what we did what we were supposed to do. Oh, there we go. Our question was, can a man be Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? So we went to research and we defined every term we use for the moment. And the answer, what do you think is going to occur? So what we realize is that the answer is simply no. No, a man cannot be Negro, black, and colored. So we tested it, excuse me, we defined it, we analyzed it, and we come to this conclusion. Let me see if I can help us close this out with, let me see something here. So we have to go here, stop, go back to the screen. Let me see. And this is from, and I'm closing with this letter from the Moorish literature that some people try to ignore or dismiss. A historical letter, 447 East 40th Street, Chicago, Illinois, March 8th, 1935, as well as June 14th, 1935. Copy from letters to Brother R. Ingleston Eel and Sister O. St. Clair Eel. Continue to believe and trust me for my words. I have done a great work for you all. Still, I am going to do greater work for you all. I brought you all your nationality and name. The forefathers of the Moorish Americans had a name and a nationality. But in order to separate them from the achievements of their fathers, a name was given them which had no connection whatever with the founders of civilization. You all have proof now that you are not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and last until 1865 during the time of slavery. In the deliberation of nations, no consideration is given to a people who are not of a nation. The Europeans took the birthrights away from the people whom they forced under bondage. They were not slaves, they were bound free men. The subsequent generation who followed them in bondage were slaves because their minds had been subjugated to a European psychology. They were separated from the illustrious history of their forefathers, who were the founders of civilization. It is a blessing for a believer to receive a few lines from I, the prophet. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, reincarnated, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder. So the subsequent generation, You are more exposed now to the European psychology than you've ever been. You are more prone now to serve on this mental plantation more now than you've ever been. You are qualifying yourself left and right. So if we want to um, meet success, let's start doing for ourselves what we do for the European. Just a little flip of the script. That's all it takes. But you have to first stop clinging to names and principles that delude to slavery. Announcements on August the 30th, we will be celebrating Ancient Forefathers Day at the Eager Park, which is 1044 North Dorm Street, Baltimore, Maryland, starting at 1 p.m. We want to commend and give uh, honors to the Moles who Sunday gave away clothes and food and they had the big bounce for the children. We want to commend them and thank them for their efforts. Am I missing anything? So please join us. We're here. I'm in, and my temple is Temple 1055 North Milton Avenue. We also have a temple in West Baltimore at 3900 Pressman Street. Now meetings begin Sundays from 12 to 2 and Fridays from 8 to 10. And if you like to know about the rest of our meetings, you can go to Moorish History and Law or the Moorish Science Temple website. So I don't have much more left to say, and it's getting close to that time. I want to thank you for allowing me to bring to you The Moorish Light Continues. The podcast is a revolution. Um, so we request that you embrace Allah, you embrace the Prophet, embrace Allah, embrace Divine and National, embrace one another, and embrace the mission. So once again, thank you and appreciate you for allowing us to bring to you The Moorish Light Continues in love and understanding. I guess we can close in prayer just like we open in prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.